G'day, I'm Scott Phillips from the Motley Fool, and welcome to our regular series, What I've Been Reading. As I've said to you lots, our investment team spend a lot of time reading, right? It's what we do. It's kind of our core business. Whether it's books or articles or papers or whatever, we're trying to scour the information that we can find to help improve our investing performance. And we figure if we're doing that already, and we're already sharing it with each other, by the way, in our team meetings, why not share it with you, our YouTube viewers? That's exactly what this series is, What I've Been Reading. It does exactly what it says on the tin. Now, the I in this case is Benny O. Benny, g'day.
Hey Scott, how you doing today?
Mate, I'm very, very well. I'm very much looking forward to this one because it is one of my favourite, if not my maybe very favourite business book. Viewers probably know what it is because it's on the title of the YouTube series. We're going to talk about Good to Great by Jim Collins. Now, I'm going to make people wait for half a second because I'm going to say, if you are enjoying this video, if you do enjoy this video, do us a favour, hit the like button. I know all the YouTubers say that, and yes, I'm having to do the same thing, but here's why. It helps you find our content, it helps other people find our content, and it's kind of good for our egos. So do me a favour, hit the like button just down below me somewhere. Also subscribe to the channel. If you found your way here because you look for the Motley Fool or someone sent you a link or you look for Good to Great and you want more free content from the Motley Fool, I would suggest subscribing and hitting the notification bell is the best way to get it. Now we do Stock of the Month. We do a weekly Stocks in Focus series. We do this, What I've Been Reading. We do regular online Q&As. We do a bit of a brand new series, Benny, called Straight Talk with Scott Phillips, which I made up, not very imaginatively. Ranted on tax this week. So go back and have a look at that one if you haven't already. There'll be more of that stuff. We're going to put heaps of good stuff on the YouTube channel. And as I said, if you're watching this now, it's probably because you like your investing content. Maybe, hopefully, you like what we do. So if you want more of that for free, great way to do it is click on the notification bell after you've hit the subscribe button. All right, that's all the YouTube palaver out of the way. Benny, let's talk about something far more interesting, Good to Great by Jim Collins. Just give us the rundown, mate. What is Good to Great about?
Sure, Scott. You said it's one of your best or favorite investing book or business book. I think that's become my favorite book as well. But Jim Collins, he wanted to answer a simple question. Can a good company become a great company? And if so, how? So the idea originated from a conversation that Collins had with a McKinsey partner, who said his previous book, Built to Last, was good, but it only shared insights of already great companies. And it didn't really answer how to change a good company into a great one. And so Colin and his research team, they spent the next 5 years analyzing and studying 1,400 companies and interviewing key executives. In the end, they only found around, I think it was 11 companies that made the leap. And these companies delivered extraordinary results. They beat the market by nearly 7 times during that study period. So the book, it provides a framework and it kind of explores 6 to 7 types of concepts that separate good to great companies from those that fail to make that leap.
I love that, mate. And I love what they did rigorously by going back and saying, we're not just going to look at companies that were great. We're going to look at companies that were similar in the same industry that didn't make that leap. And by definition, being able to sort of look for the differences between the two and find that correlation. There is so much, I'm doing a bit of editorializing here, mate. My apologies. There is so much in the field of business and investing which is someone's idea. I've got an idea about this thing. Let me tell you about this thing. A lot of academic rigor, the amount of rigor. You said 5 years, lots of people in the research team, lots of interviews, lots of data crunched. They've really taken a very rigorous academic view, but then created a very, very readable book. Do you want to share some of the kind of the insights you've gleaned from Good to Great?
I think the overarching theme, if I could summarize in one word, is discipline. It mentioned discipline throughout the book. In fact, there was 3 stages that they talked about, which was disciplined people, disciplined thoughts, disciplined actions. And within these 3 stages, there's around 2 concepts within each. I'll briefly touch on them, but I really
Perfect.
encourage those that haven't read the book to definitely pick it up and give it a read. But the first concept within disciplined people is level 5 leadership. And I found this quite fascinating. All good to great companies had level 5 leaders, and they had traits of both personal humility and professional will. They weren't high profile celebrity like CEOs that were high from the outside, but instead they were humble, they were reserved, they were quiet, even shy, yet they were highly driven, first and foremost for the company's long-term success. Level 5 leaders, they also typically prioritize promoting from within. And I think the stat was 10 of the 11 good to great companies had actually came from inside the company. Um, when I was reading the book, a few things that came to mind was what type of ASX companies kind of exemplify this level 5 leadership. First comes to mind, I think you'll appreciate this, is Mark Fitzgibbon from NIB. He's very low profile, but he consistently delivers. And he had really high praise for the successor who was promoted within. Another one is probably Technology One, Edward Chung. He's very low profile as well. He's laser focused on the mission, and he was also promoted within. Now, the second concept within the disciplined people is first who, then what. So good to great companies, they started on getting the right people on the bus and the wrong people off the bus. And only then they started to figure out where to drive the bus. I thought that was an amazing analogy because once you've assembled a team of the right people, especially in the right seats, I think the strategy and the vision naturally emerges. And that's what they found. They think that by asking the who questions first, then the what decisions, they were able to build a strong team and then a strong vision afterwards. Now, moving on to the second stage, which is disciplined thought. There was two concepts. One was confront the brutal facts, and the second was the hedgehog concept. I'll probably touch on confront the brutal facts first. And as the title mentions, or as the concept mentions, good to great companies openly face the kind of brutal, harsh realities head on. And at the same time, they didn't lose faith that it can or will prevail in the end. And I thought that was really interesting because only then can organizations make great decisions. And by doing so, you kind of create a culture where people have the opportunity to be heard, but also the truth to be heard. Now, the second concept within that stage is the hedgehog concept. And I actually wrote about this within the Motley Fool briefly. And I thought it was really interesting because he used a Greek parable. The fox knows many things, but the hedgehog knows one big thing. And that's what Colin and his research team found, that the good to great companies, they acted more like hedgehogs, simple creatures, but they know one big thing brilliantly and they stick to it. In contrast, the comparison companies that didn't make the leap or they didn't sustain the greatness, they acted more like foxes, crafty, cunning. They know many things, they're chasing many goals, but they lack consistency. And so this particular concept surrounded around a deep understanding of three key questions. Number one is what you are deeply passionate about. Secondly, what you can and cannot be the best in the world at. And thirdly, what drives your economic engine. And so I think the key message here is that by understanding the kind of overlap of these three key questions, you can actually make easier decisions that align with this kind of simple concept. Now, the last stage is discipline actions. The first concept is culture of discipline, and the second one is technology accelerators. With culture of discipline, Collins and his research team kind of found out that to sustain great results, an organization needs discipline. We already mentioned about disciplined people. When you have disciplined people, you don't need hierarchy. You have fewer controls that's required. And also disciplined people also engage in disciplined thoughts. They're confronted with brutal facts. They're giving people the opportunity to speak up and obviously hearing the truth. And obviously that actually leads to disciplined actions, but not any actions that are actually aligned with what we just mentioned, the hedgehog concept. Now, the last one is technology accelerators. Good to great companies didn't chase the latest tech trends. They were very, very selective in adopting relevant technologies. And they always ask that simple question: does this technology align with the hedgehog concept? If the answer is yes, then it's a must to become a pioneer in that application of that particular technology. If the answer is no, then they can settle for parity, or they can ignore it entirely. But essentially, good to great companies, they use technology as an accelerator of momentum, not a creator of new momentum. I think the last concept was to wrap this all up, and it was under the title flywheel. So you've been putting all the concepts and stages together. You got this flywheel spinning around. So good to great companies, they might often seem like an overnight success or a dramatic breakthrough for those that are observing from the outside, but from the inside, it's those small, repeatable, compounded actions over time that actually builds that momentum to spin that big flywheel. I think the process of combining what I've just mentioned, disciplined thoughts, disciplined people, and disciplined actions, that actually helps sustain good companies to great companies.
Beautiful, mate. That is a fantastic summary, and I've got to say, you've absolutely nailed it. So if you're watching this and you think that sounds good, and frankly it is, or maybe even great, let's go with the, the title of the book, well worth grabbing a copy of Good to Great. Benny, any particular investing insights? I mean, we talked about it's my favourite business book, and I deliberately say it's broader than just investing. But did you take any investing insights away that maybe influence how you think about company selection, and how our viewers might think about it as well?
I think harping back on the concept of level 5 leadership, I think it kind of helps investors in general uh, understand what to look for in management and culture. So if you've those companies in your portfolio or your watch list, do they have level 5 leaders? Do they have personal humility, internal promoters? Are they quiet achievers? Also, understanding signs of transparency from the management team. Is there low turnover? Are they open to confront the brutal facts? So I think it's a great way, a great framework to look at management and culture, which can always be difficult, but obviously listening and reading earnings call transcript to understand whether any of these commentary are being made. Secondly, capital allocation decisions. I mentioned a lot about the hedgehog concept. Are these companies clearly investing around their core competitive advantages? I think one example that comes to mind is PWR on the ASX, which is PWH, the ticker code. For disclosure, I do own shares. They specialize in cooling solutions, but they dominate global motorsports, right? So, and now they're expanding into aerospace and defense, which is a different adjacent market, but it's a logical adjacent market, which still aligns with their core cooling technology, advancement technology solutions. And so that's a great example. And the last probably thing I'll point out is just to seeing early red signs or red flags, watching for business chasing trends, that they're lacking clear focus, they're changing their strategy as a lot, they've got a lot of turnover in management and weaker kind of cultural discipline. But I think these are some of the kind of key insights I took from the book that can be applied from an investing parallel.
Beautiful, Benny. Thank you very much for sharing that. I hope our viewers, I'm sure our viewers have enjoyed hearing a bit more about Good to Great. You've summarised, as I said, beautifully. So thank you for doing that. I will say, by the way, in passing, I do own shares in NIB. I didn't know you were going to talk about them, and I didn't really give a pass of judgment, but disclosure is absolutely paramount at the Motley Fool. Benny disclosed his PWR holding. I will disclose my NIB holding, just to make sure we're absolutely squeaky clean and on the straight and narrow. Mate, thank you for reading Good to Great. Thank you for sharing it with our viewers. Thank you for watching. As I said, if you do enjoy it, make sure you do all the usual YouTube things, like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. And until we speak again, full on.